will present the colors. Color guard. The Pledge of Allegiance will be done by Seaman Apprentice Christopher Williams of the Naval Sea Cadets.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now we'll have Dawn Holmes sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag were still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Wonderful.
Now we'll have Mr. Ramirez for the invocation.
Lord, we are grateful for you providing this wonderful, wonderful day today to honor two distinguished individuals here in this city of Fort Juanito. And we can tell by the people that are attending here today that these two great individuals are greatly loved by everyone here in our community. So thank you for giving us such a beautiful day, and please continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone can sit in seats. Chief, I didn't forget to see. As most of you know, the Hueneme Museum tells the long history of Hueneme and its citizens. The museum needs volunteers. Our goal is to be open 7 days a week. We need volunteers, and some of you could, or any of you could help us. I would like to thank Tama Fig, Patty Barr, Tom Dunn, Naval Sea Cadet, Ben Morrell Battalion, Hueneme, Roberta Downing, Mayor Tom Fligg, Oxnard Harbor District Commissioners and staff, Stephen Gama, Rich Rollins, the Carpenter family, the Stewart family, the Daniels family, Rod Butler, Carmen Nichols, Rick Ash, Joe Reed, Gloria Pell, Kelly Long and staff, Jackie Irwin and staff, Julia Bromley and staff, John Flynn, Beverly Kelly, Ron Watts, City of Hueneme, and staff whose help made this event possible. With the American Revolution and the French Revolutions, our two countries changed from people being subjects to people being citizens. We discarded the belief that titles, who your family was, and how much wealth you have described who you were as a person. People Making a Difference was designed to recognize those who are helping our community through involvement in our community. It takes on an ordinary title so people can see there are those among us who work every day to help our community and its citizens in Hueneme and the County of Ventura. Our city has been blessed, excuse me, that's one way to cut it short. Best laid plans. Oh, here we go. Our city has been blessed by many people who believe in service above self. Today we will be recognizing Georgia and Orvene Carpenter, Master Chief Jim Daniels, retired. Chief Daniels has served his nation and the city of Hueneme for many years. I describe the chief as someone who plugs himself into an electrical socket at night, charges up, and arises fully charged and ready to help others. Georgia Carpenter is a very loving person, a great mother and grandmother, and has helped her husband, Orvene, accomplish so many things in their years together. Orvene, who I've always seen as the ultimate diplomat, is a great role model for success. Orvene also has the best genes for looking young, which I was not blessed with. Today you will hear about these people and their accomplishments. Now I'd like to welcome retired county supervisor, my friend and fellow person at the gym, John Flynn.
Well, this is quite an honor for me to be here today to celebrate with Orvene and Jim. And you might notice that I look quite a bit younger than they do. I joined the Army in 1952, a little after they did, but they still look very distinguished. And my congratulations to you. The reason I'm here today is I did represent Fort Hueneme for a spell of time from 1972 through the mid-80s. And at that time I met Jim Daniels and Orvene Carpenter. And my memory of the city is very vivid because it was such a well-kept city. If you look at the city today and you look at the city of the past, it's a very clean city. As you compare it to other cities, even in Ventura County. Pardon me for saying that. I actually worked for Orvene one time when I graduated from UCSB and had a family of 4 already. And Orvene was the postmaster, and I got a job as carrying letters for the city of Hueneme. Orvene was a very good boss. I never actually saw him. But I do know carrying mail is not an easy job. And so I remember that very vividly. And I carried one of the letter carriers you'll remember, Jim, or Orvene, and that is Robert. And he was a very tough guy to follow because everything had to be exactly correct. So I was always nervous that I was going to make a mistake. But the controversy we had in those days was over a building here in Hueneme with the Oxnard Harbor District. In those days, I'm making a comment here that may not be actually you're in agreement with, but the city of Hueneme did not get along as well with the Harbor District. And I got right in the middle of that because I served on the Coastal Commission and voted for a project that favored the Port of Hueneme. And I can just imagine what might have taken place in closed sessions of the council chambers, because Dick Delphone, who was the city manager at that time, really scolded me heavily. And I know he did it with the permission of the city council. I'll leave you with one last thought, because you have several speakers. I ran against Doral Wright for city county supervisor in 1980. And at that time, Orvene was his chairman. Orvene and I have been very good friends all through these years, but he was the chairman. And I remember thinking, well, how will I beat how will I beat both of these guys? They're very popular. So I decided to walk Hueneme Bay, knowing that I could not win Hueneme Bay. I never have, but I walked precincts for other candidates, and I knew I wouldn't win it then. But if I got started and walked the Hueneme Bay, it would make the former mayor who ran against me, make him very sensitive about it. He would decide to walk all that himself, even though he was going to win it. So I kept him busy while I walked the rest of Hueneme. Anyway, with those words, I want to commend you. You have a great biography. I read them both, and congratulations on your service to the people of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you, County Supervisor Johnson. It's an honor to have you here. Now I'd like to have Captain Bob Quinn come up and speak.
Thank you, Larry. I'm not sure what I did wrong that Larry seems to tag me to participate in every strange event he comes up with. But since the strange events and me seem to go together, I guess that's appropriate. My task this morning is to fill in a few of the details on Jim Daniels that you might not know. I've known Jim for an awful long time and came up with some information that I hadn't known before. I wasn't around when he was born, but came close. John Flynn probably was. But Jim Daniels is being recognized here, and I think it's most appropriate. Jim spent 26 years in the Navy and spent time in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And I'm not sure earned the Purple Heart's the right thing. It's one of those medals that it's nice to have, particularly if you're around and can wear it. But I don't know anybody who ever went out looking for one. Jim got into the military early. He was born in Willis Branch, West Virginia, 1926. For you math whizzes, you can figure out how old he is. He grew up in the coal mining country, had worked for an uncle for a while, and decided that he needed a job, and the only 2 options seemed to be join the Navy or go to the coal mine. And his father was not very happy, but when he recognized that that was the option, he agreed the Navy sounded like a better of the 2 pair. So he was willing to certify that his son was of age to join, when in fact he wasn't. That's why I'm not sure about the birth date of 26, well, somewhere in there. But with his father's permission, he did join the Navy, became a CB, became an equipment operator, went into the Navy in 42, yeah, November of 42. Not a whole lot after the Seabees started. He operated on 7 different islands in the Pacific between 43 and 46. Did some training with the Construction Battalion Maintenance Unit 506 and left San Francisco on USS John B. Floyd in May 1st of 1943. Went to a bunch of glorious spaces that we now go to for vacation, like American Samoa. He helped build the airport, did some blasting, road grade, went to a bunch of islands. And for any of you who are true South Pacific natives, I apologize ahead of time because I know I'm going to screw up the pronunciation of these. But he went to Funafuti where he ran evaporators. Why they'd ever have an equipment operator run evaporators, I don't know. But from there he went to Nanamea where he did some more earthwork. But he also wound up doing cooking. And that apparently stuck with him forever because to this day he still cooks breakfast for a number of the social groups in the area. Then he went to Tongataboo, Nu'uwhauta, Espiritu Santo, and New Caledonia. And so if you're ever going to go out roaming around the Pacific and you wonder where some of these places are, just give Jim a holler. In 46, he came back to the States. The war was over. His unit had been sent back because there were very few of them left that had been out there since 43. They were going to get some replacements and finish the war. Unfortunately for him, the war actually ended. He came back here in February of 46, met this beautiful wave named Ida Virginia Middaugh, and somehow or other caught her eye, and she must have appreciated what she was looking at. They met in February, and in May they were married. Jim had a 30-month stint here at Hueneme. You'll find that he keeps coming back. That also seems to be something that happens to more than one of us. Somehow my family came back here, and 2 of our 3 kids were born here. So I was just following after Jim. He's been my leader for a long while. He was assigned to the 103rd Battalion, and about that time his son William was born in 1948. They were sent to Japan for a while. They were sent to Guam. While there, daughter Brenda Jean was born. So that gave him a family. Came back to the U.S., was assigned to the Naval Air Station in Phoenix. You think about Seabees, and Seabees do strange things, but they are part of the Navy, though most of them don't admit it. Why in the hell we had Navy in Phoenix, Arizona, I don't know, but we did. And it couldn't have been all bad because he got promoted to chief. He was assigned to the Alpha Company with MCB-5, came back to Port Hueneme. While here, and this is the first time Jim and I met, he was here and was tapped by the Marine Corps Major. For those of you who don't know, Seabees get all their military training from the Marine Corps. Each battalion has a Marine gunnery sergeant as part of the battalion. And in Homeport, their training is directed by Marines. So Major Smith picked Jim Daniels and said, I want you to be my leading chief. So probably to preserve the equipment, they got him off the equipment and got him teaching military training to the Seabees. I'm not sure it was smart to get him off the equipment and give him machine guns and mortars and a bunch of other strange things. But Jim and his cast of characters trained an awful lot of us. From there he joined MCB-8 in 1967. He was deployed to Jale, Vietnam, and our paths crossed again because I was the ops officer of the CB regiment at the camp at Jale. Unfortunately, one evening we had a little mortar attack, and Jim wounded, received the Purple Heart. Unfortunately for him, about 11 days earlier, a rocket-propelled grenade had hit his son Bill, who was in another CB battalion in Dong Ha, about 50 miles away from his dad. Jim got a chance to visit Bill aboard the hospital ship, and Bill was sent back. Unfortunately, Bill Daniels succumbed to his injuries in 1973. In '68, while still in Vietnam, Jim was selected for Master Chief. Unfortunately, it was Master Chief provided you come back for another Vietnamese tour. And with his son in critical condition, Jim declined the promotion and decided to retire. So he retired as a senior chief petty officer, came back here, settled down, earned his GED, got a couple of college degrees while working for the school district in Port Hueneme. He ultimately retired as the head of maintenance. He was elected to the Port Hueneme City Council in 1986, served for 8 years, 2 of them as mayor pro tem. And in recognition of his exceptional, long and illustrious service, he's the only one I know of who was ever promoted honorarily by the head of the Navy Civil Engineers to the grade of Master Chief. So we're all proud to have Jim not have to give back or give up that coveted rank of Master Chief. In addition to his work with the school districts, he got involved in almost every activity in the community. He has been a member of the Port Hueneme Chamber of Commerce, Friends of the Bard, was in the Hueneme Rotary, and is now in the Oxnard Rotary, member of the Navy League, Salvation Army, Military Order of the Purple Heart, American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and God knows what else. He's obviously an avid supporter of the city of Port Hueneme, the Naval Base Ventura County, and all of the communities in our area. And it's an honor to know and to participate in recognizing Jim Daniels as one of our distinguished members.
I'd like to introduce Jackie Irwin.
Thank you very much, Larry, and it's great to be here. I represent the 44th Assembly District up in Sacramento, so Port Hueneme and some other clean cities. And being the chair of the Assembly Veterans Committee, it is really an honor to be here today to recognize both of you for all your outstanding work. James Daniels holds an outstanding distinction as a decorated veteran, retired career officer with the United States Navy. He is distinguished former public servant in the city of Hueneme and a long-standing contributor to civic engagement and veterans organizations. I would like to congratulate James as being honored with the very, very prestigious People Make a Difference Award and commend him for his remarkable record of leadership and service. And I have this for you on behalf of the California State Assembly. Congratulations.
Orvene and Chief, I'd like you to know that Jackie Irwin was probably the first person that called me and said she would be here for you two guys. So I'd like to mention that. And now I'll ask Captain Paul Grosco to come forward.
Thanks, Larry. I want to extend regrets from Supervisor Kelly Long. She wasn't able to make it today. As you might imagine, she gets pulled in many different directions, and so you're stuck with me instead. That's okay, I won't be up here long. But Jim Daniels, what can you say? I first met then Senior Chief, now Master Chief, because he had received an honorary Master Chief designation, so he is Master Chief to me anyway. I first met him when I first came to the base back in, I don't know, the early part of this century, I think it was. But we're going to give him this resolution that was signed by all the members of the Board of Supervisors. But you know, when I read through this, and I'm not going to read all the whereases on here, which will make everyone happy, but what really jumped off the page for me here was two words jumped off of this, and this is a test. I think there might be a couple of CBs in here. So get ready, because I'm going to see if there are any CBs in here. Hoorah, CBs! Hoorah! Okay, we've got some CBs. So everybody knows what the motto of the CBs is, and it is? Can do. Can do CBs. And I think earlier we heard that he has to recharge his batteries overnight. I don't think so. Because I think the sun recharges its batteries off of Jim. And can do, I think if there is one CB that best exemplifies the can do spirit, it is absolutely Jim Daniels, Master Chief. So on behalf of Kelly Long, I'd like to present you with this resolution signed by all of the board members.
And now I'd like to introduce Jesse Ramirez again, the Oxnard Harbor Commissioner.
Thank you. The nice thing about being kind of at the last minute is that everyone already told the story, so I don't have to repeat it again. Our distinguished employee here, Hank, Donna, was going to be our center. Because I'm not very good at presenting things. So I had to change, once I was told that I was going to do this presentation today, I had to rearrange my schedule. And it's, I don't know, the life of a longshoreman is really weird, okay? And that's probably most of us are divorced. Just to give you an idea, last night, yesterday I worked during the day. And in order for me to be here today, I worked last night. I got up at 2 o'clock in the morning, went home, took a shower, read the paper for 20 minutes, had some cereal, and came back and tied up a shift at 4 in the morning. So then I went home again and slept for 4 hours, and here I am. So this is how we live. Okay, we somehow our director and our board commissioners are doing a hell of a good job because those damn ships keep coming in. And as long as they keep coming in, we keep working at them and getting that stuff out of there. So, but anyway, if I would have known that I was going to be here, Mr. Daniels, I would have brought you a box of bananas. But so today you're only going to get a plaque from us, all right? But as John indicated, in the old days, the Harbor District and the city of Winnipeg weren't really good friends at all. And you know, we had a lot of issues. But I guess by the fact that we get invited to give plaques now to people here in the city of Winnipeg, I guess means that I think that our relationships have improved tremendously, all right? So with that, Mr. Daniels, I have a nice plaque for you. You don't have to get up. I'll take it to you. Thank you very much. We have been in our community. And sir, I love you because you've always been out there. And when I grew up, I want to be just like this.
And now I'd like to introduce Mayor Tom Figg.
as Jeff said, you've taken a lot of the work out of my delivery, since he's pretty much covered not only his history, but his family's history and his grandfather's history. But I'm going to give you my own version. I had the privilege of working with Jim. For those of you not know me, I'm a longtime resident of the city, and I worked for the city for 22 years. And I had the privilege during that period of time of serving both Orvene and Jim. And that was back in the days where this was a magical place. Great things happened, and it didn't happen coincidentally. It didn't happen because of staff. It happened because of the kind of leadership we once had. I'll get into that a little bit more, Orvene. I guess I'm going to be anointing you as well. I don't understand, Captain Quinn. You had 10 pages. You decided the whole thing on one. How did you do that?
I'm a slow writer.
So, but this is what I'd like to, at least from the hearts of the city, the family, to tell you. Now, therefore, be resolved, the mayor and the city council acknowledge, congratulate, and express our deepest gratitude to Master Chief James Daniels for his service to country and dedication to community. Be it further resolved, we extend our best wishes to Master Chief Jim Daniels, in witness whereof, and this is the part I really like, this is special for me. I have set my hand to this proclamation on this 18th day of November, 2017. This may be the last opportunity I have as a mayor to be able to say how grateful I am for having the opportunity to have served you. So, with that, I'll bring this to you as well.
And now we'll have the great Commander Bill Stewart sing the CB fight song.
We're the Seabees of the Navy, we can build and we can fight. We'll pave a way to victory and guard it day and night. And we promise to remember the 7th of December. We're the Seabees of the Navy, bees of the 7 seas.
Thank you, Bill. And now we get the opportunity to fix a glitch I've already caused. I skipped past recognizing some of the dignitaries that are in our audience today. So I'd like to, Dennis Carpenter, past commander of the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, Hueneme resident, son of Orvene and Georgia Carpenter. It's an honor to have you here, Dennis. We have Brigadier General Tony Vellante and his wife Barbara here. We'd like then we have Stan and Annette Block. Stan's president of the Navy League and Channel Islands Council. Welcome. Helen Brandt, who is here, which is a long-standing family's been here since, what, 1918? And they had a grocery store here. Welcome, Helen. Dorothy's sister, Dorothy Ramirez's sister, Isabella, is here. And then we have past Harbor Commissioner Arlene Frazier. Welcome. We have the Miranda family in the back, who is the Mirandas and the government that first started here in Hueneme. So welcome. We have the Bard family. We have Joanna Bard Newton here, who turned 100 on November 12th. Georgia Newton Poulos, or Georgia Bard Newton Poulos here. Stand up, Georgia. We have Henry Travers Bard Newton here. And then we have Victoria. Stand up, Victoria Newton. You get the head crack? And we have Tracy Sasson from the Hueneme Chamber of Commerce. Donna Lakaya, are you still here? I'm here. Donna. Donna's from the Oxnard Harbor District, and Donna helps out the museum and a great deal. We thank Donna for coming and sharing Jess with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Is there any captains, sergeant majors, Master Chief John? Is he? We have a couple of Master Chiefs retired here for Chief Daniels. Did I miss anybody? All right, now we can proceed with the program. And again, I apologize, I'm learning. Next year, we'll have the People Making a Difference on the first Saturday in December, and it'll be at 11 o'clock. And so if you'll just remember that, and I can tell you just a little bit, 2 of the people, or 3 of the people that will be awarded next year are in this audience, so I'll leave you with that. And now I'd like to introduce Mayor Tom Figg again to speak on behalf of Orvene.
Madam Clerk, wherever you might be, I thought we had a limit of only 1 harbor commissioner that could attend at one time in the council. Is that, we got one over there. Oh, an employee. I'm sorry, you're not quite up there yet. All right, we'll make an exception this time. Staff. Okay, so thank you so much for coming out and honoring people in our community, people that mean so much to us. And forgive me, Jim, I don't know when you guys kind of crossed over back in the 90s when you left, but I think this is the largest crowd we've had since the RV resort hearings. Remember those? But everybody had banners saying, "Kill those guys." Remember that? Okay, well, hopefully we're over those days. This recognition for both of these gentlemen is so long overdue and so well deserved. I'm here really to share a bit of history about Orvene. As I mentioned before, I've been here a bit, but half of my life has been spent working for the city. And so, as I mentioned, I had the privilege of working with the greatest leaders I think the city has ever seen. We'll get into that a little bit more, but so my perspective is from that of a former employee, a current council member, having shared a similar role that they did, and more importantly, as a friend. So it's coming from the heart. Orvene, 33 years on the council. Pretty amazing. He had 2 stints that stretched a period from 64 to 96, 4 times mayor, 33 years. He has the distinction of having the longest service of any councilman. During that period of time that he served, the city grew by nearly 50% in terms of population, in terms of its physical element. Why is that important? That's because Orvene has been instrumental in making our community the clean community that it is. Second of all, what's important, and if you don't like how it turned out, you know who to blame. So, well done, Orvene. right, well, I'm going to give you a few of his notable accomplishments while he served as a council member. He helped double the size and the cargo capacity of the Harbor District with the city's first urban renewal project in the entire county. He helped reshape the entirety of the city south of Hueneme Road through a series of state-funded redevelopment projects. He instituted systematic building code enforcement, property maintenance, housing rehab programs that has been mentioned has made us the clean community that we are. He assisted in renovating Hueneme Beach. Some may remember the sorry state of Hueneme Beach back in the 60s and the 50s. He was instrumental in converting the ditch into the Bubbling Springs Recreation Corridor. He upgraded the city's streetscapes, changed the entire visual complexion of this community. Very much, we're proud of the fact that when you cross the line, you know you entered Port Hueneme. Yes, there were days that we weren't the best of friends, I understand. But Jim, as well as Orvene, were instrumental in crafting a series of settlement agreements that provide for the revenue sharing arrangement between the two entities. It links us physically at the hip. The district's success, the harbor's cargo operations are the city's success. And so thank you so much for providing the leadership to overcome those bumps in the road, so to speak. Finally, Orvene, you were here when we encountered the disposal of the Civil Engineering Laboratory, the first naval installation on the West Coast that was decommissioned, disposed of under the BRAC process. And that worked to the end benefit of the harbor. So thank you very much for that leadership. And perhaps the most notable accomplishment, or at least recognition we have for Orvene, he is by far the longest storyteller in Port Hueneme history. Okay, so that was council service. Now we're going to talk a little bit about community. Just as Jim, Orvene and his bride, Georgia, have long been members of a number of civic organizations. Sadly, a lot of our organizations have kind of died out. And that's something that, as council, we need to resurrect. But you were involved in so many of those organizations, many of them Jim was likewise part of. The Masons, the Bart Mansion, the Ray Pruder Library, Hueneme Beautiful, Harbor Days, and on and on and on. So your distinction isn't just council service. Orvene's civic engagement and activism was acknowledged by being named Citizen of the Year in 1985 and having the Port Hueneme Community Center named in his honor. Now, if memory serves me, you were one of the first honorees to be given that distinction of having a facility named in your honor while you're still living. Now, when I think about that, I'm not sure I want to highlight that on my resume, but it was well deserved. What makes him tick? What makes great leaders tick? In my mind, Orvene was one of the three greatest leaders the city has ever seen. He shares with two other giants, Ray Pruder and Doral Wright. Together, those three gentlemen, Orvene, Doral, and Ray, served this city for 66 years. Now, why did these folks serve so long? What was their motivation? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Selflessness, dedication to community, not to self. So what are the attributes of leadership? Vision, compassion, inspiration. They never put themselves above others. They always recognize people before they recognize themselves for accomplishments. They lead by example, personal integrity, ethical behavior, and a profound sense of humility. Orvene possesses all of those traits, but what distinguishes him from the other community leaders is his soft-spoken persona. his unassuming nature. He also has a canny way of disarming you with endless stories that bring humor to every imaginable situation. Against all odds, it's one thing to talk about all the wonderful times and the accomplishments when we're all working together, but it's an entirely different road in the face of adversity, and that's when leadership really comes to the forefront. Orvene served on the council during a very controversial and divisive period of time in the city's history. And it forever changed the political landscape of this community. And I'm speaking of the ill-fated RV resort, the beach assessment district, which some people think of as the view tax. Those were very difficult times. All of those of us that were involved took our share of arrows, but none more so than the council, who put themselves in harm's way for what they believed to be in the community's best interests. I know this was terribly painful for you, Orvene. You gave so much to the city, and then shortly after all that nonsense, you vacated the seat, and you vacated a council that was then divided, and a community that was disgruntled. And that's no way to go out after 33 years. Personal musings. You're a giant among all men. As Jim, you served in 3 wars. World War II, Korea, Vietnam. A devoted family man, a community supporter, and in my view, standing tall as an elected official in the face of adversity, not shying away from the challenge. When the political landscape began to change in the 90s, so did the city's stability and sense of purpose. To this very day, we continue the struggle to find solid ground. When I considered running for council in 2014, the first person I turned to was Orvene. A man I deeply admire and respect, and his response was predictable. First, he said, "Without question, Tom, I'll support and help you in any way I can for you to reach your goal." He then launched into a long-winded story, his love for Port Hueneme and the lessons learned. Several hours later, he concluded by saying, "Tom, we need to work on your demeanor and delivery." For those of you who may not know me personally, I've been known to be abrasive from time to time. The total opposite of Orvene, the soft-spoken gentleman. Yet our passion and our devotion to Port Hueneme are values that we hold in common. Orvene, thank you for your confidence in me and supporting me that way. As for the demeanor and the deliver, I'm still working on it. Your shoes are hard to fill, so give me some time. What about the couple? We all know that behind every great man is an even greater force, the matriarch. Georgia is the person behind the curtain who quietly steers and corrects the behavior of her partner. As the matriarch, Georgia stays out of the limelight while tending to far more noble pursuits, raising a family, providing a home, and making the patriarch look good. Orvene and Georgia, married for 71 years, have raised 3 children, and they in turn have fathered 6 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. I'm still getting through my first set of kids. I congratulate you for that too. Their formula for success, no matter what each spouse does, they must together strive to be faithful, honest, and respectful to one another. Damn good advice. I wish I had it 30 years ago before I was married 3 times. In closing, how have the Carpenters influenced my life? Orvene, you're a man of honor, impeccable character. You exude integrity, trustfulness, and courage. Georgia, the devoted spouse whose wisdom and subtle diplomacy has raised a loving family and allowing Orvene to take all the credit. I know The last few years have been extremely painful for you too. You have had to endure the passing of dear family members. I feel your pain, but I salute your strength. Finally, I am forever indebted and grateful for having known both of you. Together, we share that common vision and love for this community, and you've done so much. I'm sorry. This honor is so long overdue, and I'm so grateful that we've had a chance to share it with you. I love you both. God bless. Thank you.
Oh, I have a plaque.
And now I'd like to introduce two of Orvene's granddaughters, Janelle Anderson and Megan Hamlin. Thank you very much.
Dan, that's not fair. I know. You can't do that right before we're supposed to come up here, then we have to keep it together.
Yeah, very hard because obviously we're here to.
She's Janelle.
Yes, sorry, Janelle. We're here to speak about our mama, also known as Georgia Carpenter. She's a mother of three. Uncle Jerry, Dennis, and Mom, Jan. I'm sorry, it's very hard. Wish they could be here. I'm so happy that Uncle Dennis is here to be here for you too. Grandmother to 6 of us grandkids, and I would like to say two favorite.
We are the favorites.
We're the only girls, however, they're the only two that showed up today. So, plus for both of us. So we got Trevor, obviously our oldest, and unfortunately that we lost this year as well. And then Jeremy, Jeff, going in age, Megan, John, and then myself. I know.
I'm actually older than Jeff, but that's okay. Shh, don't tell him. Thank you.
And then 9 great-grandchildren. I'll get into names, but I'd probably mess it all up. So 9 great-grandchildren. We could sit here all day, and we can talk about you, Mama, actually about you, both of you, but I want to say like 2 of the main stories for me that I have in my heart is you always instilled on us the importance of family and family trips, and every year of going to Tahoe and being together as a family. I know nothing else besides that. One of the times of going, we've had many things happen on all of our trips, but of you teaching us how to make the snow ice cream. And I don't know how many years after that, still call you sometimes, even though I have the recipe, I still call you and I ask you, how do I make it again? So, but that's just my chance, I know, to talk to you and find out, just be more with you. So, but other than that is, obviously this goes for you and Papa, is taking us, all of us grandkids, to Washington, D.C. when we were, was it 6th grade?
6th grade.
6th grade.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. So,
We were 12
we were
years
12.
old.
So, but that's all I'm going to say. I mean, like I said, I just want to keep it short and sweet. But you mean everything to us, both of you do. And we wouldn't be where we are without you and having you as our role model.
So Mama worked for many years out at the base here in Port Hueneme. And then when she retired, we, the grandchildren, were really lucky for that aspect because we would play off the whole, we're sick. We don't want to go to school because we knew we would go one of 2 places, Mama Ray's or Mama and Papa's house. And we would be spoiled rotten. and it was more fun to spend the day with them, pretending to be sick, than really going to school. You know, growing up in this family, in the Carpenter family, the two of them, they're just such incredible people all around. And for us being the girls and looking and seeing this role model that we have as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, she has taught us in that silent, behind the scenes way that you respect your husband, that you support him in what he does. You take care of your family. Her loyalty, who she is as a person, shines so bright. And to call her ours, we're so blessed for that. You know, we've had a very, very rough year or so here in our family with losing quite a few people. And the conversations that we sit and have, whether it's at the hospital after somebody passed away, the knowledge and encouragement and advice this woman has. We're lucky people to be hers. And I know I've told you before, but the legacy that both of you have left for this family and taught us, you can't put a price tag on. And as a woman, I look and I go, thank you for the things that you taught my dad to be as a husband and what is appropriate, so that I could then learn those things. So Mama, Papa's career and who he is would be nothing without you, because you have been there the entire time. So we love you so much. We're so proud of you guys, and we're really blessed to call you our family.
I'd like to introduce Jackie Irwin, and I have to mention the proclamation that Jackie brings up, that her staff has done a marvelous job on that proclamation. And I'd like to thank you, and I'm also going to thank Kelly Lawrence too, but the two ladies really helped to make that happen, and they're great ladies. So here.
Well, as we've heard, Orvene and Georgia have distinguished themselves over the course of their long and productive lives through patriotic services, community leadership and engagement, and faith-inspired good works. But very most importantly, you have been the matriarch and the patriarch of a big, loving family. And I think that is your greatest legacy. To have your grandchildren come up and speak so fondly about how you have inspired them is really a legacy. The city of Port Hueneme would not be the same without all of the outstanding work and service that the Carpenters have contributed to this area. They are a huge part of the city's history, and it is an honor today to be able to present them with this proclamation, to celebrate their achievements and thank them for all the good work and sacrifice they have made. Thank you.
Now we'll have Captain Paul Roosevelt. Please thank you, Scott.
So, Orvene and Georgia, it's my pleasure also to provide this honor on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. Now, Orvene was a Marine, and I don't know if there's anybody going to be singing the Marine for him, but this I can tell you, it won't be me. Now, thank you. See, there's a little subtle difference between the CB hoorah and the Marine. And it's a little more diaphragm, I think. Thanks, Dennis, I appreciate that assist. So, when I read through the resolution, and once again, I'm not going to read the whereases, but what jumped off the page for me on this one, and it's been talked about, is service. Service. A service to country, service to community, service to family. And I think for any of us who aspire to have the same thing said of us some years from now, we would do well to follow their lead. So again, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors and Supervisor Long, it's my honor to present this resolution to you.
And now I'll introduce Jess Ramirez from the Oxnard Harbor District.
Thank you. I want to introduce some special guests of mine. My granddaughter, Estrella, and my grandson, Joaquin. Both trainee students. Very smart, very talented. They're in theater, they're in music. My daughter, Florencia, the writer, has done an outstanding job bringing down our legacy. Okay? That's because that's what we're talking about, the family. Mr. Carpenter in Georgia. Again, I owe you a box of bananas. And I'm gonna get you some bananas. I swear to God. Well, you know, bananas has kept this port afloat, so you know, I'm grateful for bananas, and yeah, we gotta keep eating bananas. That's all. But I'm glad that we get along with the city, and you know that's why I'm here representing the port, our port commissioners, our staff. They've done a wonderful job bringing those ships in, and so. And with our new director we have, I mean, she's awesome. Okay, if you ever have a chance, you haven't met her. Kristen Deacus has done a tremendous job for us. We stole her from Massachusetts 5 years ago, and she's just. As a matter of fact, you probably don't know. She was named top port director of the year from the whole United States. Okay, so that's Kristen Deacus. That's who made our ship at this moment. Awesome lady. Okay. So with that, she also is very creative because you can tell by our plaques. I mean, she does an awesome job. Okay. Anyway, so she's high tech, and we love her to death, and that's why we're here. And I'm glad we're all friends. But I do need to tell you that I work with members of the Hueneme community, and they totally love their city. All right, and by what I've seen here today, I can understand why. I mean, this is a marvelous small community that. I don't want to say it to Oxford, but perhaps I lived in the wrong city all my life. You know? just by feeling the love that's here, that's generated, it's just tremendous. And you know, anyway, I'm not going to say no negative about my city of Oxford. But Mr. Carpenter, Georgia, have a plaque for you.
Thank you, Jess. Orvene, I've got the fellow that came from Hot Springs Village, law professor, governor, and president of the United States to write you and Georgia a letter. And it reads, to the Honorable Orvene Carpenter and Georgia Carpenter, Dear Orvene and Georgia, I want to congratulate you on receiving the People Making a Difference in the City of Port Hueneme Award. This honor is a testament to your many years of service and commitment to improving the lives of those in your community. You have my best wishes for every happiness in the years to come. Sincerely, Bill Clinton, William Jefferson Clinton. So this is the letter, and there's the envelope, and I love the postage. I'd also like to mention that one of the things we have at the museum is a big outreach to the youth in our community. And I've always been a believer in the fact that role models are a significant part of helping kids get along. And we have 4 role models that we have their histories in the museum in a storyboard form, so when the kids come through, one of them is going to say, hey, I could be like him or her. And one of those people here in the audience that we've asked is Dennis Carpenter. Couldn't think of a better role model with history that he has in the area. And I wanted to let everyone know that Dennis is following in his father's traditions. And another family here is Rosalie and Bill Stewart, their daughter, Lieutenant Colonel Rosemary Stewart O'Hara. She's also in there. And those are some interesting stories, so I'm throwing that at the end. Now we'll have the star attraction. Commander Bill Stewart will now sing the Marine Corps hymn.
Called up Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine.
Tom, would you like to present the oral?
You don't really want me to do this again. How about if we settle for a photo op?
Is Beverly still here?
Oh, okay.
And as you saw when you came into the Government Center here today, you saw a picture of Master Chief Daniels and Orvene and Georgia Carpenter. We've already, Mayor Tom, gotten rid of that god-awful tattered picture they had in the Carpenter Center. And Anna made sure she got that one up. So we have your picture already gracing the walls of the community center. And you'll also be in the museum, and along with your pal, the chief. Now, we'd like to, these are people that help at the museum. Amy Bruner, Johnny Adamson, Beverly Kelly. So we had my friend who used to be the Lakers photographer do take the photos of them, and now we're going to present you with these that they that you can have, and Chief, you could put it over your bed and look at it. So if you give those to them, we'd like to say that in appreciation of everything you've done. And thank you. Okay, I'd like to thank the city council people that are here, Councilman John Sharkey, Councilman Sylvia Schnapps, Chief of Police Andrew Salinas. Thank you, Rod Butler, my savior, City Manager Anna Hadley, and so I was asked to mention this as we adjourn. Again, I'd like to thank Jackie Irwin, Kelly Long, and Captain Quinn, and Jess Ramirez for gracing our presence, and my friend John Flynn. But in closing, I'd like to say the City of Hueneme has a senior holiday luncheon that's comes up on the 12th of December. That's for all seniors. And the tickets are available at the community center and can be purchased from Anna is usually there, or one of her staff. So thank you for participating in this event, and come again next year. It'll be at the Orvene Carpenter Community Center. And thank you again. There's sandwiches and cookies and water. So thank you. Thank you for